This is the first episode of the Kingdom by the Sea production podcast, where we talk about art, filmmaking, and all the things we're doing right now. Our first topic is our current projects.
Our current project is The Struggles, and we have one script written so far.
Yeah, I thought you had one.
Well, I have a
Or
script.
you've got one that's totally done, and then
Yeah, I have one
more
that's.
that you're working on.
Yeah, I have one script that's totally done for The Struggles. I have another script that I'm working on that is for a movie for us in the future.
Feature length.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the first script for The Struggles that you sent us, is that one finished? Or?
Yes, that one's done. It just
Okay.
needs.
Well, but it needs to be revised. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we need to.
Some fine tuning.
We need
Well,
to do
I'll
that
need to go
together, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's done.
Because I don't think I've seen the edited version.
No, I haven't worked on it.
Okay.
I was hoping for you two to.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah.
So, if you guys don't know what The Struggles is, if you haven't seen our other whatever the hell we have up,
Our site, or Indiegogo.
The Struggles is essentially a short film series, correct?
Yeah.
Chronicling literally the struggles of modern artists.
Yeah.
So from, visual art to acting to
Directing.
music.
Basically anything.
Yeah, any kind of creative career.
Yeah.
So, and just
Here.
actually chronicling, what it's really actually like having to be in Hollywood.
Which, a lot of... it's a whole thing, topic's been covered before, but it's like, every time I see something about that sort of subject, I'm just kind of like, this isn't really what it's like.
Yeah, it's like at least 80% like romanticized.
Yeah, it's
or
like
whatever.
they get close, but it's not
Yeah.
quite.
Because,
It's not quite.
yeah,
real.
I know with
quite
that.
honestly, it's a shit fest.
Yeah, with us, it's like it's reality because not everybody's going to make it. In Hollywood.
Yeah.
A lot of people come here, they try out, they don't make it, and they go back to Ohio
Yeah.
or wherever they're from,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it, and they give up. And then some people stay with it and they make it or not. You know what I mean? And so like with the first one, to me, it's really dark because I wanted to chronologize.
Chronicle?
Yeah, how women struggle in Hollywood.
With body image and stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
because Hollywood is so.
Which also has been tapped on before, but
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
not, it's always the classic story archetype of like the whole Cinderella thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not beautiful, I'm, poor.
Yeah,
It's
I kind of wanted to get in the mind of women because me being married, I see what my wife goes through, as an actor, and always, oh, you're too fat, or you're not fat enough, or whatever the case may be,
You're too ginger.
Yeah, you're too pale. And it's like I don't know. I just think that through the struggles we can show people, and
You
hope
recorded that.
and hope
I
to
didn't hear it. That's all.
and hope to show people, hey, look, this is what really goes on. This is what you need to expect. Don't come out to Hollywood thinking, in 2 weeks you're going to be Brad Pitt
Yeah.
or Johnny Depp. It's
Well, yeah,
going to
because
happen.
Hollywood is plagued with these films. Like, for whatever reason, the one that I'm thinking of right now is Burlesque. Have you seen Burlesque?
Yes.
Where it's like, this chick from the Midwest who's like, oh, I want to be a singer, I want to do this, and she goes to Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she becomes like this giant star, and it's like, no,
No.
I'm sorry, fucking no.
Especially
No.
out of a burlesque theater. Like, that's
No.
just like, what?
It's like, come on.
It's like,
Yeah,
are there...
and she's literally from Ohio, I think. or
Yeah,
something.
I think it is
Or,
Ohio.
Some
Yeah.
god awful Midwestern state
Yeah.
that no one gives a shit about.
That's another story thing that I want to do too for The Struggles, by the way, which I don't think I mentioned, is people who are actors that do get work, like working actors, but they never quite get like known or famous. They're just kind of like, they do things and they make money off of it, and they do that for like a really long time as a career, but they just, it's like they don't ever get real appreciation for their work.
It's just
Right.
like their day job. Like
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah. And so,
I feel like that's probably like, I don't even know, like 90% of
yeah.
actors that are just doing it.
Actually, I would say like 50% maybe is the other.
Well,
Maybe even less, like 40 or 30.
That just do it
because,
to stay alive kind of thing.
Yeah, because most.
Well, I
people,
mean, and of course, there's like character actors, who like never
exactly.
have lead roles. They just like Steve Buscemi, or well, actually now he's in like Boardwalk Empire, but like for the longest time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Steve Buscemi. I mean, his face.
Yeah.
Character face. Yeah.
His face, man.
But yeah, that's like the kind of career that a lot of people don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
That like there are actors like that do get work, but you never really know about them ever.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
We
that's
should
the
all.
whole idea of the struggles is just just being real, I guess.
And showing people that most of our homeless people, at least a good 10% of them, are artists who came out here, failed,
are creative people.
and they've lost everything.
Yeah.
Well, and of course mental illness and everything plays into that. The whole association of mental illness with creativity, and like that movie Frank that you showed me.
That's why I really liked that movie. You need to see that movie. By the way,
Yeah.
Robert. That's
I
why
feel
I
like-
really like that movie.
I feel like
'Cause-
everyone else didn't really appreciate it. Like
No, Alex.
Mom and
Mom liked it. Alex thought it was weird, which I was like, really, you of all people?
yeah, well,
But,
that actually kind of makes sense to me. Yeah.
But no, it was basically in the movie like this whole time the main character is like, he thinks because he comes from like good background. Like,
Yeah, and he's
good
like
family and
super
everything.
normal
And he's like, oh, I can't be talented unless I'm like mentally diseased and had a broken childhood and stuff. And then it turns out that this guy, Frank, who's like super talented, like a genius, is basically came from the same background as him. And he was just super talented anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Except for the fact that, like, he was like obviously mentally ill. Frank was.
Yeah, but they never made it clear exactly what it was.
No,
So.
but it's like clear that he had some issues.
Yeah.
But what I thought was interesting is that his parents in the movie, they're like, yeah, I mean, he's always been kind of messed up, but if anything, it didn't contribute to his talent. It just like probably hindered him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting because normally, it's this thing where they're like, oh, Van Gogh was so crazy and that's why he could do such incredible art because all these struggles that he went through.
Yeah.
But with Frank, they're like, no, I mean, he's crazy and it's just like hindered him.
When his craziness was less apparent, like when he was, wherever they were in Ireland, in the cabin in the middle of nowhere, when it was like less that he was like socially anxious or whatever, he was better.
Yeah.
And then when they got into public and stuff, and he started like freaking out, then he couldn't even make music anymore. 'Cause it was so like apparent.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So anyway,
See
that
movie?
was a tangent.
That was a really good movie.
But
Yeah, it's a really
it's
good
really
movie.
interesting. It's like really out there. Like it's really kind of like an artsy critics film.
See, we can
but still.
we could write a struggle about that. A script within the struggle where people have to believe that they have to be a certain way. When it comes to mental illness or you gotta have this in order to be this great.
And that's especially prominent in like my field of like visual art. I mean, that's like the most prominent thing is that, oh my god, you have to be crazy like to be an artist. But I think that people don't realize that mental illness a lot of times is just self-destructive. Even if you're an artist, I mean, it doesn't necessarily help you.
No, it doesn't.
It actually makes it so that it's harder to be creative, and you don't have the motivation to be creative. So I don't know. It's just sort of, I mean. So Hollywood even romanticizes something as fucked up as mental illness.
Yeah.
Which is like, really? I mean, that's something that I'm really
That's even like a
about.
cultural thing. That's
I mean, that's like really deep-seated.
I would like to say here, because, we're doing the podcast right now, and so the people hear us talking, but they don't really know us.
Yeah.
So, I have bipolar, and I can say that as a person with mental illness, if I'm very manic, writing is so difficult because I'm like on 300 different subjects and I cannot focus on just one. And so it only helps if you're like medicated And the only time that is even good is when, bipolar even helps is just ideas.
Yeah.
I just become this person that has crazy ideas. But most of the time, yes, I agree, it's so self-destructive.
Yeah.
Because you can't focus. It's like, Or you.
Can I read this out loud?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Eric just passed something to me, and it says, this is in context of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It says, wake the fuck up. Depression is not special. Anxiety is not cute. Self-harm scars are not beautiful. Suicide is not poetic. Eating disorders are not glamorous. Schizophrenia is terrifying. Yes. Don't pretend to have hallucinations. Yeah. You don't fucking want them. Mental illnesses are not romantic. So
No.
stop treating them that way.
Yeah.
So that's really powerful.
Yeah.
And if y'all haven't
Is that on
read,
Facebook?
Yeah, I found that on
Okay.
Facebook.
and if anyone who's listened to this podcast has not read anything, our website or anything, who doesn't really know as much, this is what Kingdom by the Sea is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark subjects, tackling things that most people would run or avoid, or romanticides.
Romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this
Yeah.
is what we're about.
So this is why we are taking on Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It- But
we all came from different backgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously me and Eric. I'm Hannah, by the way.
I think.
We are related, but we both came from Colorado.
Yeah.
From actually a really small town in Colorado. Well, Black Forest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm talking about Black Forest.
I guess. Yeah.
Oh, we grew up. Okay, we grew up in a really small. It's not even a town. It's like a hamlet.
Yeah.
It has like a gas station and a feed store. But it's like it's on the edges of a larger town, which is Colorado Springs. But whatever. But yeah, and then Rob came from Texas. So we all. Yeehaw.
And by the way, we
The
don't
South.
all ride horses, and we don't.
Except for I do.
Yeah.
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 We actually have cars in Texas,
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Really? That's
I don't believe it.
and we
first time
don't.
I'm hearing of it.
And we don't have shootouts. We don't.
In the grocery store.
In the grocery store.
But yeah, so we all came from very,
Oh, yeah.
varied backgrounds, and we're not from Hollywood, just like pretty
Oh.
much 95% of people who are here are not from here. But
Yeah.
so it's a very new experience we're learning along the way.
Mhm.
But these are kind of our observations of the craziness out here
Oh, yeah.
in our commentaries.
There's a lot of craziness in LA.
I think that's
on
what we're-
so many planes.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what we're doing. With the struggles is interpreting what we see,
Mhm.
but
yeah.
but telling the
well,
truth.
and what we're actually experiencing ourselves.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I watch like TV, like for an example, even if you see a Starbucks commercial, it's all these skinny people that are in shape. There is no way you can drink that many lattes and stay that skinny. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, caffeine's a diuretic, so if you're just like
That's
shitting
true.
your
Oh,
brains
that's-
out every day,
But I'm saying, like, when I go to Starbucks,
for like 10
when I go to
lattes.
Starbucks, I see people in there that are not skinny, that are either whatever you want to call them, overweight, plus size, whatever. It's like I want to show reality. That's not reality.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of different shapes and sizes of people,
Yeah.
and I'm tired of watching TV where it's one size person.
Mhm.
It's just that's it. It's like, what world are you living in?
Not America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the real America. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's so, I don't know, Hollywood is so strange. Just California in general is so strange, because people here, you definitely see less overweight people here.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
people are terrified of having a negative body image.
Well, yeah.
Like,
We went
yeah.
on last night. My wife and I went on to a Groupon looking for things to go do. Right? We only found the only two things that popped up: massage parlors, yoga, and wine tasting.
Oh, my God.
And she was like,
Oh,
she was like, this is all you can do in LA: work out and drink.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Not just
Wine?
drink, but drink wine.
Yeah,
Only
drink wine. Only wine. You got to be fancy about it.
Nothing else.
And there's
Yeah.
that whole like wine and painting or whatever, where you
Oh yeah, that's
Drink. Yeah, have you heard about that?
No.
Yeah, where you literally you go to this place and you just you drink and you paint. Like, how California is
Okay.
that? Yeah. It's like, let me free my mind with this wine and then create a beautiful masterpiece. It's probably like paint by number because people can't paint.
Probably, yeah.
no, it's
I
actual.
don't know how it works.
No, it's actual. They give you. You pay. It's like I think it's like $50 for one person, and they give you a blank canvas, and they give you paints, of course, and your paint brushes, and they give you wine, and you just start drinking and painting.
Those two things don't go together. I mean, like,
No.
drinking alcohol destroys your dexterity and your motor skills, so that makes no sense.
Well, and I think you have I think there's an instructor that's actually helping you. You know, like I think she's
It's
painting.
just strange.
He or she's painting something, and then you paint.
But still, I mean, you know, you're gonna, even if you lose all your dexterity, it's still, the instructors can't do anything about that.
No, right?
They can't hold your hand while you do it.
Maybe they do.
You fall over while you're painting. Oh, I'm Van Gogh, look, or I'm Picasso. This is my interpretation.
We're doing the urban historians thing, which we need to figure out the details of that.
Well, the urban historian thing. All right, the long story or the short story behind it is that I wanted to do it with my sister. You know what I mean? Because she's really into paranormal, and it was her idea. You know, or sort of her idea because we love it. And since we were young, we used to go in abandoned houses, and just because growing up in Mississippi, you can go out in the woods and there will be an abandoned house somewhere, and we'll go in and explore it, and it'll have like it looks like the people just got up and left, and the trees grew around it, you know. And so that's where it came from. And so basically, we just want to explore Southern California.
Yeah.
These so-called haunted places. We want to do it from another point of view. You know, we don't just want to make it 100% about paranormal.
Well, we're not about, like, you know, thrills or anything.
Well, yeah, 'cause it's not like it's not like a ghost hunter situation.
Yeah.
Like
no,
I mean,
like, we're not gonna like fabricate things happening. Like, ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's not the only reason why we're there.
No, I mean it's more of like urban exploration.
Yeah,
thing,
Yeah.
it's like
which
to
is actually a
tell-
thing apparently.
Yeah.
Or urban exploration.
Yeah.
We want to kind of display the history behind the
Right.
places that we go to.
Yeah, like tell the stories of these places. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they're pretty historical. Like some of them,
And I
like
mean,
the
it's-
abandoned Nazi place. and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solstice
You
Canyon.
guys went there, right?
We did, yeah.
Was it creepy?
We didn't go into the actual compound itself because you have to jump a fence to do that, and there were people down there already, and we didn't want to like impinge on any gang territory or something.
And then there's a
So-
theater that is very famous that was owned by Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to host the very first talkie, but since it wasn't done, they had to do it in New York. I mean, that's pretty historical. I mean, and if something does happen, you know, if we capture something, that's fine. You know, I mean, that's great. But it's just displaying history, just
Yeah.
showing things.
It's just kind of fascinating. I always
Yeah.
found it fascinating to be in, you know, old abandoned places or whatever, because it's just like you just like feel sort of the energy that once was
Yeah.
in that place, you know, that but obviously is no longer there. It's sort of like the place itself is like just a ghost of what it was before.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just kind of it's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a feeling that you get. Remember, I wrote something down here.
I like. I just kind of went blank-minded here. There goes my mind. Come back, mind. I just don't. I just you know. I like the idea. You know, I'm glad we came with this idea because I'm just sick and tired of like shows on major networks. You know where everything's fabricated. Oh, did you see that? No, we didn't see it because the
Yeah.
camera was shaking.
I didn't even know for the longest time that Ghost Hunters was fake. I thought it was real.
Yeah.
I literally thought it was real.
It's so good that it fools you.
Well, and it freaked me out too because there's like this one that they do where,
The one with the brick.
well, that one's creepy.
Yeah.
But then there's another one where like someone is laying in bed, and then like the covers are like pushed up over them, and it's fucking creepy. It's
Yeah.
so creepy.
The ones that I believe the most is home videos.
Yeah.
Because those can't really be faked. You know.
Well, they can.
Well,
Well, they
can.
can be, but I'm saying like I'm talking about the ones where people were on vacation. They were not ghost hunting at all,
Well, yeah.
and they take pictures while they're in the room, and then they develop them, and then there's just like, what is this happening?
Yeah.
Like there's this one picture I saw where this family just moved in his house and they took a picture, and then when they developed, there was a body hanging. And
oh, that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's creepy. I've like looked into that. I can't remember what it's called. It has a name because it's super famous.
Yeah.
It's like that picture where it's just like a falling body
Yes.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was fabricated. Like it was made up.
That's
Yeah.
what they say.
I know it's super creepy. No, like I really like looked into it, and it's like. not
Dang
real.
it, I got my hopes up.
I know that
Bam!
photo is so creepy though.
But see, that's the thing. Like there are a lot of fabricated pictures out there and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that are true.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's another thing with the urban
This is my
exploration.
poetic explanation of what ghosts are.
Is that we want people to form their own opinion. Whether we agree with it or not, we don't want to shove our opinion down anybody's throat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Because it's already a thing that you can't explain. I mean, that's like
Yeah.
the whole point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right?
I think, in general, we're just going into the whole thing with some degree of, not skepticism, but just like, if there's nothing there, then there's nothing there. Oh well,
Yeah, we're more interested in just the history of, the place or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and just
The story behind
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
why it was abandoned and all that business. Yeah.
yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Most of these, especially the places in LA.
Oh yeah.
Like,
It's
it's insane how many like creepy, weird
It's
abandoned places
weird.
there are here. It's like they don't tear down their buildings here.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It's just like abandoned building, nice complex.
Yeah, I know. But another creepy thing that we could do if we ever, like, I was thinking about this when I was in Colorado like a couple of weeks ago, is that if we ever like got going with this, that we could actually go to like, because there's so many creepy like sort of dead or dying towns that are on like the eastern plains of Colorado.
Yeah.
That are just like, you drive through them and you're like, oh god, like this is just creepy. Like, because there's so many like buildings that are just sitting there that, obviously have history to them. Like there's like there's a town, starts with an M, it's like Meeker or I don't know, Murphy, some shit like that.
Yeah.
But there's an abandoned slaughterhouse that's just like sitting on a hill. I'm like, oh god.
That'd be awesome.
Like, we have
Yeah.
to, like,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of just like creepy, like old westy kind of things, like in the Midwest and stuff where we come from, and probably in the South too.
Well, there's this one place. It's in Louisiana. It's famous for its haunt. It's an old mansion where the maid killed the family, and supposedly when you stay there at midnight or whatever, you sleep. If you go to the kitchen, you sit in the kitchen, you can see the twin girls coming down the staircase,
Like
going
shining
in.
stuff.
Yeah, going into like the dining hall or whatever, and eating, and you can see the maid coming out with the birthday cake. It's supposed to like just replays itself. And then there's another place in Louisiana. It's an inn that you can go sleep at, and many people have seen this slave girl that was murdered there, and they see her walking the grounds and throughout the place. So I mean, it's more than just one person that has done this,
right.
So I'm very interested in this because the South has so many so many ghost
There's
stories.
so much dark shit that's happening in the South, especially.
Well,
Of course, there's the Stanley Hotel too
Yeah.
in Colorado.
Stanley
That's
Hotels.
obviously
Which
that's
is
obviously
Stanley
something
there.
that we should.
Well, Nicolas Cage bought a place in downtown New Orleans that was famous for its haunts, and he bought it just for that fact.
What a weirdo.
Does he still own it, or did
No, he had to auction it off or something. If you've seen American Horror Story,
Yeah.
okay, in the second one where she abuses the slaves,
Yeah.
and they eventually burn the building down or whatever, or it accidentally burns, or something happens.
Yeah.
Well, it's based off of her,
Oh.
the real life lady.
Huh.
Yeah, this is downtown New Orleans. The buildings are still there. I think it's now like a fancy hotel.
Creepy. I think the Broadmoor is supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't
Have
remember.
some strange. I mean, it's
I don't remember
there's
the story behind it.
There's a hotel called the the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. It's been there since like I think it was there before the town was actually.
Yeah, it was. It's like a 5-star luxury
yeah,
hotel.
this rich ass guy that what was his name? Palmer. I don't know. It doesn't
I think it was Palmer.
Yeah. It was the one who like founded the town or whatever, and
Yeah.
he built this giant hotel because I guess English people were obsessed with coming to Colorado because everyone had TB back then and couldn't breathe in
Right.
England. So they're like, oh, we'll go live at 7,000 feet. That'll cure us. No, they all died. But they built the Broadmoor, and it's this giant hotel. I mean, massive.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it seems a little creepy. Like when you walk around,
Yeah.
it's a little bit haunted.
I feel like if you were alone in there, it
Yeah.
would be really, really kind of scary.
Yeah.
There's a hotel called, I believe it's called Big Ben. It's in San Antonio, and it's famous for famous for a haunt, and it's a lady that passes out towels.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was murdered, like a few miles from it, like back in the Western days, by her jealous husband, and she worked there, and so she passes out towels. Like every now and then, you'll see like there's been reports of like a lady walking down the hall with towels in her hand, and or sheets or whatever. And one guy like asked her like, "Excuse me, ma'am, I need sheets." And then she was like, okay. And as soon as she went, he turned and looked. She was gone.
Huh. I wonder if he ever got his sheets.
Hey, since we're talking about this, we
What?
houses also.
Houses?
Once we get this thing going, if somebody has a haunted house, we should like
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, totally.
stay at their house.
Yeah.
Just don't be
Sure.
serial killers. No serial killers. No serial killers.
Come in.
Yeah. Nobody who's pretending to be vampires.
Oh god.
No weirdos, please. None.
Wouldn't count on it.
We're not there to exorcise the demons. We're just trying to. I think also with urban explorers, for me personally,
Yeah.
I think it's.
Stories.
I think it's also another way to put the subject of the supernatural out there,
Yeah.
right along with history.
Yeah.
To let people, like we said, to let people form their opinions, but it's also a topic that has been run through the mud by people that have faked these videos.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
not something that's taken seriously.
yeah,
Yeah.
Which is the same with a lot of things that we're covering, like mental health and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not taken seriously.
Yeah.
Or it's pushed aside, And so, I don't know. I think it's important to sort of, bring up those topics in a different light
hmm
and just revisit them, especially with the way that Hollywood is now, where it's just like recycling ideas,
Oh, yeah.
There's no original content. It's just important to bring these things back up.
Yeah.
And have people actually think about,
if people are
Well,
going
they're
to
watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if people are going to recycle ideas, because everything that's been done under the sun's already been done once or twice. Nothing is
Yeah.
originally an original idea, but you can take something and make it your idea.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, every
That's like-
idea is a repurposed, idea.
No, but I'm saying like Hollywood doesn't even
But-
do that. They don't even buff it. They're just like, here's the remake of whatever,
Yeah.
and it's still the same as
Here's
the old
Teenage
one.
Mutant Ninja Turtles again.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like a good example of an idea, being used again was like I was telling you guys earlier. Like the feature script I started writing is literally an idea that I'm just using again, but it was someone else's idea, obviously. But it's not. It's going to be something different,
Right.
but in essence, it's still like at its base level, it's still
hmm
pretty much the same thing, or the base plot line anyway.
Well, yeah.
I mean, because there's
because
gonna be
every story,
subplots and
every
stuff.
story
but-
follows one of 3 plot lines.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Which
Cinderella, boy gets girl, boy loses girl.
I believe the storyline of the
Man
Giving
in Hole.
Tree is a tragedy
Tragedy.
because-
It would be Man in Hole.
because the tree dies in the end.
Oh.
Yeah, because it gives and it gives and it gives until it has
Has
nothing
nothing
left to give and it dies. But
Poor tree.
but the thing about it is that the last line of the book is, "And the tree was happy," and then it dies because it was happy because it.
Dude, that is
it's
so
almost
deep.
Like it was so.
Yeah.
It was fulfilled, and then
Yeah,
could
it was
die.
fulfilled, and then it could die. So,
Hmm.
because like,
I don't know.
yeah,
Hmm.
I know it's like
Yeah.
like a controversial subject.
Well, it is
Like-
because, you meet people that all they do is give,
Yeah.
and they're miserable.
Yeah.
Like, because they give every part of themselves away,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't ever
Yeah.
stop to like think about their own needs.
Well, yeah, because like in the Giving Tree, for instance, I think it starts out with this kid walks up to the tree and he's like, "Hey, I want an apple," and the tree's like, "Okay," and he drops an apple. And so then the kid becomes like a teenager and he's like, "Hey, I want to make money," and so the tree gives him all its apples so he can sell the apples or like make apple juice or something. And
Or
then
butter.
yeah, or apple butter. And then when he's an adult, he says, "I want a house," and so he cuts down the tree, and all these, the tree's willing the whole time. The tree's like, "Okay, whatever." So then he cuts down the tree when he wants a house, and so he builds a house out of the tree. And then when he's like an old man, there's nothing left but a stump. And then he's like, "I just want a place to sit and rest," I think it was. And so he sits on the stump, and the stump is like, "And I was happy," and then it ends.
And I'm happy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a children's book,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I remember that story, man. That's like when I first read that as a kid. I was just like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
But as I got older, I read it again because I had to read it in literature class.
Mhm.
And oh my goodness, dude, I was like, what were people thinking reading this to a kid? It was such it made you think. It was just such a dark
It's like
topic.
so deep that a child could
Yeah,
never
I feel
understand
that
it.
way about a lot of children's stories. Like a lot of like Dr. Seuss type things, like
Yeah.
what is it, the Lorax.
Yeah, the
It's like
Lorax.
children don't get that shit.
Mm-mm.
Only adults are gonna get that.
Oh, that's what we should do. We should redo true old school fairy tales, not just Cinderella and Snow White and that. I'm talking
I feel
about
like they're kind of doing that to death right now.
Oh, yeah.
like I'm talking about like
yeah,
Mother
with,
Goose,
like what'd you call it? Happy
nursery
Ever
rhymes
After.
they haven't done.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, that.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm gonna leave for like a split second.
Ugh. What's wrong with you? Yeah, I don't know about fairy tales.
Okay, let's take that back. Nursery rhymes. Nursery rhymes are very dark,
Yes, that's true.
and we could do something on nursery rhymes, like Ring Around the Posy.
Rosie.
Huh?
Rosie. Isn't it Ring
No.
Around the Rosie?
No, it's a type of.
It was Ring Around the Rosy, pocket full of posies.
Yeah, pocket full of posies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
The-
Middle Ages thing.
Yeah, it's the
Black.
plague.
Yeah, the black.
And then you had London Bridge is falling down. That's hanging people, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know why they made creepy rhymes out of like horrific
Yeah, that's not.
historical events. Like, what the hell?
Let's
What's
t-
wrong with people?
let's turn this into a nursery rhyme.
Seriously, humans are so fucked up. Oh god, especially in the Middle Ages.
Oh, yeah. Well, they had no shame at that
No,
time.
no. I mean, they're like,
But-
we're all gonna die anyway.
Well, but a lot of
We're
times it
gonna
would,
be plagued with buboes. And die a horrific death.
it was like with back then though, man. It was like teaching kids though.
Yeah.
It's like now. See here's something else too. It's like back then. It was like the kids. They weren't scared to tell the kids the way life is. They're like, we can't really tell you. We're just going to do it in this nursery rhyme or in this way that you can understand.
Yeah.
And the
Most
kids
of that
would
stuff
kind of
was
like it.
Was like a form of propaganda though towards children.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was like fear tactics, like the whole. I mean, like I was saying before, someday.
Someday.
Last week or something. I don't know. We have too many conversations. I can't remember. But like the whole the boy who cried wolf thing.
Mm.
Like using death as a result of doing something bad.
Yeah, but
And they were
what
essentially
better motivator?
scaring- Well, yeah, but still, I mean, is that not a little bit fucked up? Like, just
Nah, because if
They're
we
like,
would,
oh, well, don't tell a lie because you'll fucking die. Like, it's like, no, you won't.
Well, you could.
Not likely. But
I mean, back then, maybe. Like,
I don't know. It's just, I just think it's.
I kept the
You
kids
lie,
in line
like-
for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, fear doesn't work. That's the thing. I mean, it's like, it does work, but you're always gonna have the people that you're using fear on repent.
What about
That's
cattle
why
prodding?
the Holocaust didn't work.
What about
That's
shocking
why
the
Hitler
kids?
didn't work.
See, I think though, it might have worked better, in the Middle Ages, because nobody was bluffing at the time.
Well, that's
like,
true. Yeah.
For instance, with the whole lying thing, if you were to lie to the king or whatever, like, no, I did not steal, Friar Edmund's cow.
When you did.
And you did, and the king's like, well, yeah, you did. They're gonna behead you.
Yeah.
Because they don't care about
that's
you.
True.
Off with
But
your head.
I feel like using fear as a tactic, like, as far as parenting goes, is what makes most kids hate their parents.
Well, yeah, nowadays.
Because, I mean, like, I don't know, like, it used to be, I mean, in, like, the 20th century even, I mean, it was, like, common for kids to just, like, straight up hate their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, by the time they get to be teenagers, they're like, fuck you, mom and dad.
Yeah.
Like, that was just, like, normal. And, like, fundamentally, like, should we really hate our parents? Probably not. But it's just, like, accepted that we hate our parents.
Yeah, and that's still a thing, like,
Yeah. It's like,
still.
So, ladies and
Like,
gentlemen,
that's-
this is our parenting hour. Thank you for joining in.
It's just a giant tangent.
I know,
But
right?
whatever.
It's like, that's why I never understand people I never understand people who hate Christmas so much, because, even if you're not Christian, whatever, blah, 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 I don't care. It's still a holiday that is about more than just, the whole Jesus thing. At least nowadays it is.
Well, first of all, Christmas isn't even about Jesus. I mean, he wasn't born then.
Well, yeah, so it's about
Mary.
other things. But,
it's more about family than anything else.
yeah, and people,
what's wrong with that.
around Christmas time, everyone, I swear to God, everyone is always like, oh my God, I have to go back home for Christmas. Oh, I hate my family so much. This is
Yeah.
gonna suck. And it's
Yeah.
just like, guys, you're lucky that you even have a family.
Yeah, I know. Is it like we're so convoluted that we
Yeah.
don't appreciate the fact that we have people supporting us?
It's like, and it's not like that, their parents are like abusive or
No.
or
And
are
it's just like,
terrible
oh,
to
my
them.
parents suck, It's like,
It's like, well, they probably
they're
don't.
like, yeah, they probably support you and love you.
Yeah,
Like,
but-
get off your fucking high horse. Like, Jesus. And it's always like, people that are, what's the word? I'm dead in the brain right now. It's people that are, what's the word? Privileged. There we go.
Privileged, yeah.
Privileged people.
Yeah.
Like
Like
upper
suburban-
middle class,
suburban white kids,
white
yeah.
ass people
Yeah.
that are like, oh, I hate my parents. It's like, it's just so wrong to me. I don't know.
We're talking about how people like when
Privileged people
yeah,
hate their
when they like
parents.
go home for Christmas or whatever, they're like, "Oh man, I hate my parents so much." And it's like their parents are like so
And
nice to
again,
them
and again, you
love them,
you
support
see
them.
it done to death in Hollywood too.
Oh yeah.
Like even, I'm thinking of like SNL. There was like a sketch a little while back where it was all about, I think Andy Samberg was in it. It's all about him having to go back home,
Yeah.
back to his hometown in wherever, and it was just all about how much it fucking sucked,
Yeah.
and why his parents are awful, and it's just like, it makes no sense to me. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Our production company is about going down those rabbit trails. We're chasing after that white rabbit, because we want to explore that. To me, I want to go down that hole, and I want to, bring a light and show people craziness.
Yeah, again, like exploring things that people push aside.
Yeah.
Things that we don't
Yeah.
even think about. I mean, like the smallest things, like the whole thing with hating your parents. Like that's considered something that's normal. Like no one actually explores that that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the kind of thing that we want to highlight.
Yeah.
Because those are like the really deep-seated things that we do not even think about, that we see on TV and in movies, and
Yeah.
Hey, that just made me think. That's why we're doing urban historians subconsciously. If you think about it, it's like Hollywood or society or whatever has pushed these very historical places to the side, and like to them, it's like it has blemished, society or that part of town somehow. And we're like, well, it's still beautiful. Let's
Right.
show it.
Yeah.
Show the beauty in
Yeah.
a place that is now dead and hollowed out.
There's our new slogan right there. That should be our slogan.
Right.
Revealing the beauty within ugliness.
It's a little broad, isn't it?
That's a little blunt.
It's very broad. Yeah, not quite right. But
Our nickname's gonna be the Ugly Duckling.
The ugly
God.
duckling. Yeah.
The Ugly Duckling. Alright, this has been Kingdom by the Seas production podcast. Thank you for tuning in and listening to our random tangents. We really appreciate your support, and please visit our Indiegogo page to help support our crowdfunding campaign. And thank you for listening.